What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to this week's wrestling games roundup. Today we got the latest in regards to WWE 2K22 and some of the extra things you might have missed from the previous big reveal. We got big confirmations in regards to AEW games, the latest for Retromania and also the wrestling code. So you guys know what to do. Make sure to have those notifications turned on to continue being up to date. And if you want even more WWE 2K, consider checking out the second channel. And kicking things off with WWE 2K22 this week, we had the first WWE 2K dev video, the introduction to a lot of the behind the scenes that we will be getting as we head into the release of 2K22. And although it was a short one as it was an introduction, there were a couple of things to take away from it. The first obvious reveal is that we can see Ric Flair getting scanned, but he is actually sitting down, so they're only doing a head scan. To have that up to date, we'll likely get an older model version of Ric Flair as the actual wrestler in the roster, with this updated version of his face probably being maybe a general manager or being part of something else in the game of My Career, 2K Showcase if that is gonna make it into this year's game, and so on. Point is that this is a very good indication that Ric Flair will be part of the roster, which is not really a surprise, but it is good to see we are getting an updated version of his look after being retired for so many years. We got to see the Rey Mysterio entrance animation and how it will end up looking in game. A couple of comparisons were made, especially by It's My Yard, and as we got to see in that comparison, you can see that this animation is actually the same from Rey Mysterio's WWE 2K20 entrance animation. Now, Rey Mysterio entrance hasn't changed, so this is really not a big deal, but to some of us fans that continue to do comparisons like this, it is a concern that we're really not getting anything new shown to us when the tagline of the game is "It hits different." But as I mentioned before, this first episode is just an intro to what's to come, so I'm really hoping that we end up seeing actual new stuff. Something new that we did got to see, and credit to Viking Size Gamer for this. For the motion capture clip that we ended up getting on this first episode, we see two monitors on the background, with the left one showcasing Austin Theory versus Dexter Lumis. And the interesting thing about this is that the moves that we are seeing played out are specific moves for Dexter Lumis. We got to see the monkey flip, which he is actually doing in the background clip, and we also got to see a swanton, which Dexter Lumis has as part of his moveset. So this specific clip and session of motion capture seems to be heavily focused on NXT and more specifically on Dexter Lumis, so he could end up being one of the brand new additions into the roster, which is expected considering that he has been featured on NXT for over a year now, and he has been a big focus of the brand, going against the likes of Austin Theory, The Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, and so on. Austin Theory is also another possible addition to the game, but do keep in mind that these roster potential additions are not confirmed just yet. And I just want to say that when it comes to motion captures and a brand new moves animation, I'm very excited for that, so I really want 2K to show us more of that. For example, Seth Rollins just over the last year have added a lot of brand new moves to his moveset, some of which he only does with certain top wrestlers like Cesaro and so on, and many of which after he returned are variations of his older moves, so I want to see more of those unique and extra variations of animation. This episode of WWE 2K Dev also ended up giving us another look at the Rey Mysterio model. Nothing really ended up changing. The camera angle just seems to be a bit more lower, making Rey Mysterio look even bigger, but it seems to be the same that we got to see on that initial trailer reveal. As for what's to come in the press release, WWE 2K ended up indicating that we will be getting character models, arena designs, motion capture, facial scanning, audio samples, material textures, and more on these type of behind the scenes episode. And last but not least, we had a Patrick Gilmore indicating that it's hard to believe most of WWE 2K has been developed during lockdown, excited to start sharing more information finally. He also added that we might see him down the line on these behind the scenes videos, but that he mostly wants to hear from the developers working directly on different game modes and and content for the game. There's no doubt that Visual Concept is going to be facing a massive challenge this year. Because of lockdown, they've been forced to be working on this game mostly from home. So thinking about it, it is a really good thing that they ended up taking a year off and that they got that extra year to be working on WWE 2K22. So there it is, guys, a bit of a breakdown of what we got to see on this first episode. We will continue to break down every other behind the scenes episode because we are set to be getting a lot of these development footage, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them are going to be hinting things and giving us some interesting info. So subscribe if you haven't just yet, and we'll continue to keep you up to date. Catching up on some of the other games on this roundup, for Virtual Basement, we got some big little addition to the roster, that being Little Spike Dudley, and not necessarily related to the wrestling code, but in case you guys didn't know, Virtual Basement also has another game, the Mean Green's Plastic Warfare, and they are spicing it up with some cool wrestling taunts and skins, literally just adding a skin for RBD. His taunt in it looks absolutely awesome. I'm gonna have to jump back into it just to check it out. RBD has of course been working closely with Virtual Basement, so I'm not surprised that they want to continue working with him. For Retromania Wrestling, the game is officially out on all major platforms, including PlayStation 4, which we were waiting for. Do keep in mind though that Europe hasn't gotten it just yet. That PlayStation 4 release is expected to take place on May 25th. The developers did indicate that they're trying to get it out before that date. Onto some other news, so we are still waiting for the next AEW game show, which is set to give us a big confirmation in regards to the Elite General Manager mobile game. That big confirmation could end up being its official release date. The only thing that we know is that it's going to be coming out before the end of this year, so I will certainly keep you guys posted on it. But while we do head into that, referee Avery Edwards ended up giving us a pretty cool update, which could carry over to the AEW console game. Fans ended up indicating whether or not Brody was going to be featured in the AEW General Manager game, which she went on to confirm the following. Yes, Brody Lee is someone you can draft to your roster in Elite GM. She added that his art was already made before his passing, and that she asked his son and also his wife whether or not they could keep him in the game, and she was quote unquote absolutely cool with leaving him in. So with him being part of Elite General Manager, it is very likely that AEW also got the blessing to keep him in future games. Anyways, guys, that is what I got for you on this week Wrestling Games Roundup. If you enjoyed or found it informative, don't forget to elbow drop it and hit those notifications to continue being up to date. I'll catch you on the next one, so stay savage.